Good afternoon. It's great to be here, and I'm very excited to walk through these slides with you today, and hopefully you can chime in anytime, ask some questions, and we can make this interactive. We've got a few polls to send your way, looking for some information, and today's topic is about building positive friendships. My name is Patty, and I am the team leader of the Intensive Mental Health Student Services here at Linwood Charlton. And I have with me my colleague, Megan Barati, who is over there. Megan, do you want to just tell us who you are?
My name's Megan. I'm a child and youth worker. Been working with Patty for a few months here, so excited to get going on it.
And we built a positive friendship, so hopefully that will go a long way during this presentation. So let's move forward here. Our first slide actually kind of defines friendship, and I'm sure all of you who have experienced relationships have your own definition of friendship. But it is seen overall, it's a relationship of mutual affection between people. It is a stronger form of an interpersonal bond, so more than an association with another person. And friendship has been studied in academic fields all over the place because it is such an interesting connection. And it does so much for our well-being that it deserves to be studied. The other thing I wanted to say about that is there is absolutely no question that friendships and social skills are a really important part in our life. They play a significant role in our ability to move forward and develop our social skills. It helps us with our own self-image and, of course, building resilience. So there's so many factors involved in friendship that we see. I've got something popping up on my screen here. Give me a second. There we go. All right. So moving forward. Because it is.
So it consists of many distinct skills that can be learned and practiced again and again. So things like eye contact, being honest, being clear and direct with our words, being yourself, actively listening and giving positive feedback, accepting differences and things like that. Some of these Patty's going to touch on in another one of the slides, so I'm not going to talk too much about them, but that's just a few of them for you. So social communication is a language, and everyone is born with differences in their ability to learn this language. So some verbal and nonverbal communication can be very easily misinterpreted. We all have such different communication styles. So sometimes we might interpret something somebody says or does as coming across as maybe sarcastic or rude or when they never really intended it that way. So sometimes this can cause conflict in a relationship. So having these conversations with our friends and just checking in with them and saying like, hey, what did you mean when you said this? Or just having that open communication so that you don't have to have those barriers between you, and allowing other people to ask us those questions as well. And 80% of our communication is nonverbal. So, and remember, social skills can be developed. So just like any other skill, like cooking or learning to play guitar, we can become better at these things as we practice them and as time goes on.
It actually amazes me. It actually is that high. Our communication is nonverbal. So it's so important for us to pay attention to what our bodies and what our facial expressions are saying. Because a lot of times they don't match what our words are saying, and that can be misconstrued or be very confusing. Okay, so listen, we all have a need as humans to connect with other human beings, but it's really, really important to know yourself and to know what you bring to the table and to also know what you want in a friendship and why you're seeking out relationships. it's important to be able to stand up for yourself and draw your lines where you need to make sure that you are connecting with the right kind of people that are going to influence you in the right kind of way and really help you be the best person that you can be. So caring and kindness are important values in our culture. And of course, this starts with ourselves. We really, really believe in the message about taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself first. When you are kind to yourself and you're feeling good and empowered yourself, then people are naturally attracted to you, and it makes that connection that much easier. So knowing and valuing yourself helps to make genuine connections with the people around you. Sticking to the truth and learning how to say things that are authentic sometimes can be really difficult, but taking that risk and really trying to be clear in your communication skills with other people will take you a long way and might save you the aggravation of conflict down the road. So right from the get-go, it's important to really work on your clear communication skills once again. Paying attention to our own skill development is essential in long-lasting friendships. Relationships are difficult. All relationships are difficult. And especially long relationships can sometimes take a turn, and there can be a little bit of a roller coaster effect sometimes when feelings get involved. That's okay. That's all completely normal. It is the skill development that we're talking about in terms of building your resilience and figuring out how to bounce back from hardships in your relationships, how to really, really work through conflict. Those are skills that you can develop and practice, and it only gets better through time and not giving up, of course. If you don't see your own worth, you will gravitate towards those people who don't see it either. So that's why it's so important to have a good sense of self-worth. We want you to find people that are like-minded and that care for you the same way that you would want to care for them. Okay. We've got a poll question here. So we're interested in knowing, what is one of the most positive qualities that you bring to a friendship? You can choose honesty, even when it's hard, like I talked about, a sense of humor, respect for others, positive communication, active listening. So what skills are you really good at and you bring to the table? Oh, I like that I'm seeing high active listening. There really is an art involved in that. We've got respect for others. Absolutely, that's very important. And somebody's checking. Oh, I think we're going to make every single box here. Okay, so 66% at this point are saying respect. So we've got a lot of viewers out there who really believe in respect, and that is awesome because really good friendships start with a basic foundation of respect. Oh, and active listening has gone back up too. So they're all really good skills, and I'm glad that you guys are recognizing those things and sharing that with us. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. All right, so looking at the time, friendship skills. Well, there are so many friendship skills, and in fact, when I started looking up how to deliver this in a basic 15-minute period of time, it was very clear that it's kind of overwhelming. There's so many ways to develop your skills. So I broke it down into the beginning of a relationship, right through to when you have a hard time in your friendship and you might need to practice some of those apology skills, some of those conflict resolution skills. So the first and the foremost is making that connection, is recognizing when there might be a like-minded person near you, or there's somebody in your class or somebody in your school, or you notice somebody over a period of time that there might be a connection with. How do you actually take the risk to move forward and make that connection. This can be done in so many different ways, and certainly nowadays there's lots of different mediums to get to talking to one another. So it could just be over texting, over over a project at school. Maybe it's spending lunch hour with one another. Maybe you're just walking down the hall and you start with a simple hello. Of course, using your eye contact and using all of your skills that make you so endearing to other people. Making the first connection can sometimes be really difficult, but everybody needs to learn how to take that risk and learn how to take that first step and make that connection. Getting to know each other, well, like I said, there's a lot of different activities that you can suggest, or you can, just go a few days by just saying hi, and you will find that that connection strengthens, and then naturally something might happen that puts you together in a situation, and you nurture and you let it grow. So that's when you really want to pay attention to some of your vocabulary, some of the words that you have. How do you pay somebody a compliment? Do you know how to pay somebody a compliment? Do you know how to thank somebody for sharing time with you? All of these really simple attributes actually can be really, really difficult. So they sound easy, but when you're in the moment, it can be really, really hard. So again, taking that risk and knowing that you're worth it. You're worth that hard work to make that connection and make that friendship work. You want to be paying attention to making sure that your actions match your words. So you don't want to be looking the opposite way when you say hello and you are inviting somebody out to spend time with. You want to make sure that you actually look like you want to spend time with that person. Being part of a group. If you are trying to put yourself into a group, again, I ask you that you pay attention to what are your needs from this group. Why do you want to be part of this group? Is this group going to meet your needs as friends? Are they going to treat you with respect and self-worth? And look for your way in via one person at a time, or just by finding common ground with people in that group. The other thing you need to really pay attention to is how do you accept people's differences, because everybody is different. We talked about our different communication styles, our different kinds of friendship styles, and it's really important to accept the fact that everybody does it differently, and not everybody is going to agree on how to go about practicing these skills. So it's just really important to understand where you are at in terms of accepting other people's differences. Working on expressing yourself, building your vocabulary to be able to say how you feel, to share your feelings with another human being, and to be ready to hear those feelings back from that person and reflect with one another. You want to get pretty good at that. You want to be an active listener, and that was one of the things that on our poll that showed pretty high, that people who are tuning in right now feel that they're pretty good active listeners, and that's very, very important. We certainly don't want to be in a situation where we're just waiting to talk instead of actually listening to what the other person is saying. So an active listening practice skill is to try maybe and reflect back what the person is saying, so they know that you're actively listening. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. Understanding the impact of your own behavior. This is a huge one. Sometimes when our feelings become overwhelmed and we're in a certain mood, we really don't have a good understanding of what we're bringing to the friendship or to the group of people. And so it's very important for us to understand how our mood kind of dictates how we treat other people. So I would encourage you guys to practice that skill too, is just be aware of your space. When you walk into a room, how are you presenting yourself? what kind of needs do you have when you're walking into that room? Are you stealing everybody's energy? Are you giving energy? So you just want to pay attention to make sure that it's not one-sided, that it's a positive flowing kind of relationship. Of course, you want to think before you act. That goes without saying, but sometimes harder than said. So we want to make sure that we're putting our friends first and that we're not taking things out on them that isn't really deserving of them. Learning to say no is all part of that assertiveness and, remembering that you're worthy and that you deserve the best kinds of friendships. And if you're in a particular situation where you're feeling peer pressure or your friends are wanting you to try something that you don't feel comfortable with, being comfortable with saying no and standing up for yourself is very, very important. So a real true friend will accept that answer no, and that's kind of a good guideline because that's your prerogative. You're allowed to say no when you're not feeling comfortable with something. Managing conflict. So there's a whole bunch of different problem-solving models that you can look up on the internet. Most schools teach problem-solving skills, and really, again, I'm going to highlight the fact that these are skills. They're buildable, practicable, and you only get better at it the more you use it. So learn your problem-solving skills and accept the fact that conflict is a part of relationships. It's always going to be there, and learning how to manage it really is the key. And then learning to compromise. You're not always going to like maybe how things end. Maybe you have to, in a friendship, both agree to disagree, and you need to come to a compromise of some sort. And that's okay too. Again, everybody's different, and it's about respecting each other's points of view. And lastly, I've got apologizing because I really think that there is an art to apologizing. It's so, so advantageous for you to be able to own your own stuff. If you've messed up, it's okay. We're humans. That's what we do, and that's how we learn. So I would really, really encourage you to practice apologizing. There's so many ways to do it. You can say, my bad. I'm so sorry that I did that, or I misunderstood. My apologies. You play around with your language and get comfortable with it, because really, when you can model how to apologize, you'll find that other people learn from that, and they also can own their own stuff. So that's definitely a skill that you need for positive friendships. I think we've got some questions here, so I'm going to go over to the questions. One of the questions is, how do you deal with conflict? Okay, so I touched on that a little bit. Now, it's really important, in the heat of the moment, if there's conflict, that you're maybe both separating from one another at that moment, and you're trying to get to a place where you're much calmer to be able to work through the conflict. There's no doubt about it. Feelings can completely overwhelm us, and sometimes we can say things that we regret or we will regret, and that can damage the relationship. So we really want to pause in that conflict and take some time to manage our own feelings and emotions. And you'll find after you come back to a calm state that you're thinking a little bit more clearly, and then you can apply the problem-solving skills. Of course, listening to one another, taking the time to see each other's points of view, and then finally coming to some kind of conclusion, compromise, or apology. So yeah, conflict is hard. As long as you're managing the emotions that go along with that, the steps to fix the conflict can be that much easier. Okay, we've got another question here. What do you do when someone breaks your trust? Oh my goodness, that's a hard one. Trust is huge in a relationship, and this happens a lot. And I don't know that people do it intentionally to one another, but it does happen. So once again, I would encourage you to manage the feelings that are involved with that. There can be a lot of hurt involved in breaking of trust or a betrayal, and getting your brain back to a calm state to be able to really get a sense of, why did this happen? Did I do something that maybe I shouldn't have done? What happened to the other person that they felt that they needed to betray me or break my trust? So again, you want to be open to hearing the reasons why. You don't want to completely close the door on your relationship, because trust is something you can build back up, as long as the trust that was broken isn't continuing to be hurtful and dangerous to you. Okay, so that's really important too. So you want to make sure that any kind of strain in the relationship or break in the trust, that the friendship is worth fixing, and that it's a safe relationship, and that the trust is repairable. Okay. Any other questions? We good? Excellent. All right. Moving along. And here we have our last poll question. We're interested in knowing what you guys value the most in a friendship. So you can choose from fun, adventure, and laughter being the most important friendship quality, a confidant, a secret holder, or a trusted source. Somebody who supports you, protects you, and gives you safety and security, or someone who has similar interests, like and common attitudes. Now, of course, those are all really positive friendship qualities, and wouldn't it be great if we got a friend and they had all those qualities? That's what we would strive for, and even better, it would be great if we could strive to be those things. But for this poll, we just want to know where people are at. What is the most important thing to you? And it looks like we've got support, protection, safety, and security as the number one valued quality in a friendship. That's nice to know. Everybody wants to feel safe and secure, and like your friend has your back. So thank you for participating in that. And so quick this time goes. Any more questions? Nope. I see. I think we're good. Another question? Oh, here we go. I have a friend who wants the attention all the time, and I never get time to share. What do I say to them? Oh, that sounds like a difficult conversation to have. So the thing about friendship is, if you've invested that time in the friendship, then really you should be able to say anything to your friend. And it is difficult. I validate that for everybody. But again, it's a skill to be able to build upon and get better and better at stating some very honest feedback to friends. So I don't know that there's an easy way to broach the subject. I think you just gotta bite the bullet and get in there and have that conversation, and do it in a way that is as respectful as possible, and let them know. I mean, you can use I statements. You can keep it focused on maybe how you feel, instead of doing blaming and shaming of the other person. And you can just let them know, hey, listen, I've noticed that this happens, and sometimes I feel kind of left out, or I kind of feel like it's one-sided, and I really like being your friend. Is there any way we can have a conversation about this? So you can always balance it with the positive attributes of the friendship. Make sure that that person knows that you want to remain friends, but an adjustment needs to be made. And again, if that person is a friend, they're going to value you enough to maybe adapt, or to make a change to the way that they're interacting with you. Do you have anything to add to that, Megan?
Nonverbal.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to that, and I think it's important to always approach those types of things expecting or having the idea that maybe our friend doesn't recognize that they're doing this and that they're not doing it intentionally. So maybe even saying to them, like, I know that you're not doing this intentionally, or I know you may not be aware. I think that can be very important too. And it can make it a less threatening conversation because you're already showing.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation to have to give your friend feedback. But it is part of life, and that's what relationships are all about. It's a give and take, right? Okay, how do you build your trust with someone back up? So going back to if you've made the decision that this friendship is or this relationship is worth it, and you want to move forward and you want to build that trust back up, then I think it's really important that you actually talk about the issue at hand. So that's something that you can have an open dialogue about. How do we build our trust back up? And perhaps you want to start small. So maybe give an example of, you've shared a secret with one of your friends, and that friend ended up breaking your trust and sharing that with a whole bunch of other people. Well, I wouldn't be so quick to give those deep, dark secrets to that friend the next day. Perhaps maybe you want to scale back a bit and even let them know, you know what? My trust is not fully there, and I'm afraid to share everything with you. But, we can get back to a place where we can share everything if you can show me that I can trust you. So, again, hard dialogues to have. They really are. But in the end, they're worth the effort because, again, you get better at this skill, and it's a skill that you're always going to need no matter what and what age you're at. So I hope that was helpful. I'm just looking at all the little boxes here. Support but not protection is valued. Okay, I like that. Very good. Okay, I think that we are pretty much wrapping up. I hope you guys got something out of this. If nothing else, please walk away knowing that you are worth so much and that friendship is really important and you deserve the best kind of friends around you. So in saying that, you also need to be the best friend to other people. So it is a give and take, and good luck with your relationships, and thank you so much for tuning in today.